Hi Neo Autonomy, hope you're well. Today I'm presenting you with an exceptional tour. It's the tour of the Jardin des Merveilles. This is a garden that was created by Remy 10 years ago, and you'll see there's a huge amount of biodiversity. There are a lot of things shared by Remy in this video. Let me introduce you right away to the tour of the Jardin des Merveilles. Let's get started. Hello Remy.
Hi, can you
introduce yourself please?
Okay, I'm Remy from the Garden of Wonder. I created this place myself 10 years ago and now I don't really know what to present. There's so much to say. It's a place that's been my life project. It's more than a job or passion. It's many things at once, but definitely full of passion. And so here I practice permaculture, among other things. And I give permaculture classes that you attended. That's how we met. Now you can jump in.
Well, I wasn't expecting that. I did 6 half days at the Garden of Wonders before starting, where Remy taught me some techniques. And what's really nice is that you'll be introduced to the garden little by little as you go along. And you'll see that there's a lot of common sense in what Remy presents. And we can start the tour right now because you want to, Remy.
All right, well, listen, what do? There's not much to see here since we just finished this area, so it's a bit of an aside. We give permaculture workshops that last a week. And at the end of the workshop week, the trainees have a practical exercise where they decide together on creating a new area. What do? Biodiversity, cultivation, all that. So here we are in the area that the trainees created this year. A rock garden here, a small cultivation area by the existing trees, and now this is a brand new area. I'm not sure that's the most interesting part.
Why the rock garden? How does it affect biodiversity?
So you see, I'm going to turn it around for you. It's not about what it brings. We create a rock garden not out of need, but because the land calls for it. Here the soil is about 50 centimeters deep or less, and in some spots rock is at the surface. It's not an area where you can grow vegetables. There's not enough depth, not enough soil. And besides, there was already this big stone here, which is too big to move. We decided to use that opportunity to create what the area calls a rock garden. And then over there on the side, it's an area where we tried to grow vegetables until 2 years ago. And that's when we realized that actually, no, there's not enough soil. And the vegetables, even watering them every day, it doesn't work. And since the idea is not necessarily to water, so it's more of an area for aromatic plants, Mediterranean plants that need a bit less water. And then the further you go towards the back, the deeper the soil gets, and that's where there are more vegetables. So the idea is kind of that to get used to the soil, and we were talking about it earlier. Is the soil calcareous? Is it acidic? What is it? That's it, and you can't grow anything you want on any soil. We see what kind of soil it is, what kind of exposure, and we adapt to that.
I'm picking up on that because I also came to see you since I have some small problems at home in your plantation. Yes, I have some minor issues with my plantation. I wanted to discuss what grows here and get your advice on what I should do. First, let's introduce a wonderful tour of the Jardin des Merveilles.
Come on,
let's go.
So here we have apple trees. In this area, down below, we have more vegetables with not too many trees or trees that aren't too tall. And as we move towards the south, so that's the south, over there is the north, it goes up a bit like this. The further back we go from the south, the more we have trees that will be tall. So here, there are more apple trees in this area, more pear trees over there, and cherry trees further back. And if we go down, there are lower areas. So here, there are hazelnut trees, there are fig trees, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over there are elderberry trees, and behind them there are snow cherry trees that will grow to be about 1 meter, 1.5 meters tall, no more. And then over there's an area with some unusual trees, pawpaw trees, sea buckthorns, and strawberry trees. There are quite a lot of different things.
What grows best on your land, and what type of soil do you have?
What grows the most? Originally grasses, then brambles, and eventually oaks, and around here maples. If we let it go wild, yes. If we adapt, we'll manage. What about the small fruit? I have land that's slightly acidic, you see. It must be around 6.5, something like that. In terms of pH, 6.5. Small fruits like blackcurrants and gooseberries grow well. And I also try to adapt. And look, let's move a bit towards that. Come on then, we're being followed. I'll take advantage of it.
We're being followed because there are several of us listening to your good advice.
Sorry, yeah, it's cool. Brambles grow really well, so I thought since brambles grow so well, let's plant some brambles. Not necessarily just wild brambles. I like them, but I don't want just those. For example, I can't recall which variety this is. This bramble has few thorns and produces fruit later than others, allowing us to stagger the harvests. Here, there is, look.
These are the thornless ones, right?
No, that's not thornless. If you look closely or zoom in, there are still a few thorns, just fewer. You can grab the branches without getting pricked, but there are a few small ones. The thornless ones are a bit further over. I also have the triple crown, which is huge and thornless. We'll check that out too. So since brambles grow well, I figured I'd adapt to that and grow brambles. Here, we're making structures like this, which will be used to grow the branches on. And so not only is it productive, it produces fruit, and it also prepares the soil. The soil under a bramble patch is rich and great for planting. We'll see more of that later in the tour up there. Here, I adapted to wild bramble patches. There were places, bramble bushes, and I just pushed the brambles aside a bit to plant a tree in the middle. I let the brambles grow back over it, and that prevents problems. Around here we have quite a few deer that sometimes come to nibble on the trees in the brambles, and they don't go straight in, they go around. So the tree that's planted in the middle of the brambles, that one, it doesn't get touched.
Doesn't it get smothered by the brambles?
Not if it's taller than the brambles. We're not going to plant a tree that's shorter and gets overtaken. But hey, listen, we'll go check it out, go further in the video, no problem.
No, go on.
Go on. I like it. Right now it's the season we visit the garden during a heat wave and drought, since that's how this year has been. The past few years the drought and heat have been severe. We've had sunburn so intense they burn tree leaves even though they weren't dry. I've made videos for those who follow my content on growing plants without watering, or only watering at planting.
I'll put the link in the description.
Yeah, well, there you go, yeah. So this video is interesting in certain climates. Market gardeners tell me that works for gardeners, but in market gardening, watering less means fewer vegetables. Even now, with how things have changed, I'm returning to that somewhat, just watering at planting, not fully. In a year of drought or heat wave, no, you're going to have a very short production. Your tomato plants, they'll reach the end around August or September, they'll be thirsty, they won't last. So now there are areas that are irrigated, there's a drip system under the mulch. This way we maximize the water we use. However, we're not going to water every day or every 3 days. It's when the plants need it, when they're thirsty. Look, we can see the peppers over there, which look nice when the leaves start to droop a bit. Or here, we can see that they're thirsty. We flood the area. I water for 8 at night, 10, even 12 hours. I start watering in the evening and turn it off the next morning. And I flood the area. And then I leave it like that until it needs water again. It can be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sometimes even a month. In the end, it's a lot at once, but spread out over time, it's not much. And it has an advantage, which is I've seen people use drip irrigation directly at the plant's base, even when the surrounding area looks dry. However, the crops there are thriving. And as a result, when it comes to pollination, for example, you can feel it because the soil is dead. You grow the plants you want and pollinators will come for them. Simple as that. If you flood the area, you'll see many plants like grasses, dandelions, and lettuces growing nearby. You have plenty of things blooming nearby that attract pollinators, and as a result, your crop will benefit from it. Whereas if it's the only thing alive and everything around it is dead, it's like being in an oasis in the middle of a desert with no life around. You get by, but something's missing.
So you really have to develop overall biodiversity and not just what's under the plants?
That's for sure. But then, well, it's not the productivity-focused approach like we often see. And I'm not doing this primarily to produce my own resources, my vegetables. I'm doing this to create biodiversity, to have a living place rich in life, and to create an ecosystem, to create a microclimate that will then be favorable for growing vegetables. But if we start by just wanting to grow vegetables without creating the life around them, we might end up with vegetables that are of slightly lower quality. And then, I don't know, I tend to think that the priority is also the living environment around it and the life that surrounds it. And once you've created your ecosystem, your microclimate, everything that makes it come alive, your vegetables will grow better, yield more, taste better, and have all they need with life around them. It's much more enjoyable.
Did you find insects or creatures that appeared later but weren't there initially?
Things that didn't exist? No, I found things I hadn't seen before and don't know. I'm not sure if you've seen them, for those who follow me on Facebook. For my birthday a few days ago, I received a macro lens to photograph insects. Now I regularly post close-up insect photos that reveal fine details. I saw tiny things I'd never noticed before, since you can't see them clearly with the naked eye. Water, even small drops. Did you see this morning's? But yeah, so I see things with insects, yes, and with plants. When I arrived, it was just a meadow with grass and some brambles on the edges. So since things have been growing, and there are all kinds of different things growing here, I see plants growing that weren't here before. I already knew them, but plants I once saw only in wet woods are now growing here. That reassures me that the soil is changing, the microclimate is changing, it's working.
And does it change the acidity compared to before?
Well, for me here, not really, because I had soil that was a bit acidic, like I told you, but for someone who has soil that's a bit more calcareous, as organic matter increases and decomposes in the soil, it becomes slightly more acidic. Very lively soil benefits vegetables, overly calcareous soil isn't good for them. Well, first we add organic matter, we make a compost or add organic matter on the surface, and that won't necessarily end up acidifying the soil. It will stabilize the soil pH toward neutral or slightly acidic in the surface organic layer. Which means that, yeah, thanks the cloud. Yeah, that's it. It changes the pH by bringing it toward neutral or even slightly acidic.
Let's take advantage of this. Since you do some phytoremediation, can we go there? Then we'll continue the garden tour. Let's go. People often ask about it, and since I haven't done it yet, I'd like you to present it. So Remy, where are we? Here?
So here we are. So if you do a little brrr to the left, we're right on the edge of zone 0, zone 1. For those familiar with design, this is the living area, kitchen, bathroom and washing machine, all over there. We're at the garden entrance and the phytoremediation area. Behind me is the first phytoremediation tank that will clean the water. We're starting to trim, so I'll explain why here. Right behind, you can't see it, but there's a filter there that cleans if you want to get a quick shot of it. So that little filter there is just used to clean out all the grease and the first water that comes in. Go ahead, while you're on it, let's take advantage of it while you're on it. So basically, there's a rectangular tank there. It's a bit dirty here because this is all the water that comes from the kitchen and all that.
There are still some noodles, yes.
There are still some noodles who didn't finish. There's a board here that lets water enter and exit through that small hole. To exit, it must go under the board. So the water floats here, the fat remains on the surface and doesn't go underneath, so all the grease stays in the straw. If it starts to smell, we compost it, replace the straw and never let fat go there. Here, a sand and gravel filter removes anything large and unsightly, so that there's no material, no big pieces going into the phyto, okay? And from there, it goes into this tank.
So, a question about this grease tank. How often do you change it? How often do you empty it into the compost on average?
I can't give you a specific time, it depends. That's the usual answer.
For you, it depends on how many people you have and the activity.
If you don't live here in the middle of winter, you don't change it for winter. But when you live here, like right now, there are 10, 15, 20 of us living here. It can be every 2 or 3 days. Actually, it's him who will tell you. When you start to feel it a bit, that's when it's time to change it. Even if it's disgusting, the only risk is having water with unpleasant organic matter flowing through. It's not a problem. That's exactly what the phyto wants. Even if it's disgusting, the fat will never go under the water. Fat, up until now, has always floated on water. And I don't think that's going to change.
Okay, so this is tank number 1, tank number 2.
No, that's a filter. That's a filter before going into tank number 1. And then I'll explain to you. We only have tank number 1, that's all. Let's go in front of the tank to see all this.
Okay, I'll go around again. So even if we're going to go over a lot of things, what is that?
That's the platform. No, that's a keyhole. Keyhole, in English, it means keyhole, because that's where we empty our compost, right here. So it's raised on the sides to have more soil thickness. We don't have to bend down to grow our vegetables. These are fast-growing vegetables. We're discussing the platform. You wanted it done quickly, but it makes sense to have it here. We place compost in the center, grow vegetables around it, and leave an access area for the compost. From above, you can see the compost circle. The area forms a keyhole shape, giving it its name. And this is placed right next to the kitchen. The compost bucket, we cook here, we have the compost bucket. When we want to empty it, it's right there. When we need to pick a few vegetables or some basil or whatever, we just come here.
The compost goes here, and things grow really well.
It's still really effective. Here, it's also really effective because it's the first year we've set it up. So the release of nitrogen in soil that's been turned over, obviously in the first year, it's at its peak. But knowing that, you just have to make sure to aerate it well every year. And all the compost that's in the middle, when you need to water, you can water here. But above all, you flood the compost. You pour water into the compost, everything that's mineral matter. So it's going to flood the soil a bit in the center around it. All the vegetables here will put their roots down there. And not only is it watered, but it's also very, very rich. Subtitles? Father.
Why am I bringing this up? Yes, we passed by, but also because you mentioned zone 0.
Zone 0 is the habitat, 0 is us, 0 is the habitat. And zone 1 is the area we go to most often. Zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Zone 5 is the area where we never go, or at least not for work. We visit zone 1 at least twice daily. You see, like the chicken coop, if you go there in the morning to open it and in the evening to close it, it's in zone 1. If you have an automatic opener and only visit once a day or every other day, put it in zone 2. Okay, see?
Zoning, yeah, in permaculture, I know it's something, no, but it's interesting. We could even like make a video about it.
It's interesting because it maximizes the time and energy you spend on your project, and the less time and energy you spend on certain elements, the more free time you have to add new elements, or to take some time for yourself, or for a hammock, or yes, relaxing in a hammock or on a deck chair, or yes, that's well.
So let's get back to it. Let's get back to the
Filtration.
the phyto.
You ask me questions. That's interesting.
But I know I'll always have great answers about my
Questions. Answers may take time.
It's not
Precise. So here we have the first phytoremediation tank that goes up to here. The reeds don't reach all the way because they've been trimmed as they're here since they're tall and have grown a lot. We had wind and rain here which flattened things, including me. There are trees nearby, like a pear tree. I'm thinking I'll try this even though I've never done it and don't know if others have. What happens if you cut everything during the year? Does it grow back, or will it weaken my reeds? Will they be a bit weak afterwards? I usually prune once a year. Can you prune twice a year? Because I need to prune, because it's getting in the way. And above all, it's really interesting in terms of carbon material. So for now, I've just left it there because we pruned here. This will go in the path between the vegetables, since I don't want weeds or grasses growing between the beds and using up water. And the ground should be covered with other herbaceous plants or organic matter, but not too many plants. Let's get back to phyto. How does it work? It's all the dirty stuff from the kitchen, bathroom and washing machine. It's full of organic matter that will actually be broken down by the phyto. So people say it's the plants, but it's not the plants that do the work. Actually, it's the bacteria around the roots of the plants. Here, we use non-phragmite reeds, which are what is used most of the time in the first basins, because it's, of all known plants that do this, these are among the most effective. So this is really about breaking down all those big kind of nasty molecules in the water to turn them into mineral matter. Just a quick chemistry overview. So organic matter is chains of atoms of mineral elements, and mineral matter is those chains. It's like a pearl necklace taken apart, revealing mineral elements. Plants use these minerals, not organic matter. They live in symbiosis with root bacteria that break down these molecules into minerals that plants can reabsorb. So the phragmites, they do this to clean the water so they can feed on it afterwards. Since we send them very dirty water, they can't consume it all. Usually we have a first basin with that, followed by 1 or 2 more basins. With irises, papyrus, mint, plants that like to have their roots in the water to absorb these minerals. So they do the first part. The phragmite or first tank initially breaks down organic matter into minerals, while the next tanks reabsorb these minerals. So that in the end, at the exit of the second or third tank, we have water that is clean, which we can send back into a pond or into nature. That's a classic phytoremediation system, but mine just has the first tank. And after that, instead of having my mineral matter consumed by papyrus or iris, which I don't eat, well, I have a wetland area. At the end, I irrigate a certain area where I can grow squash and tomatoes that will feed on these mineral substances. Okay, and
you don't find that in drops or anything like that. After that, it's...
So here we have a kind of experimental garden. We're testing things out. Not everything works. And here the problem we have is that all this vegetation evaporates all the water, and there's almost never any water coming out. So when there are a lot of us, like right now we use a lot of water, so all the water ends up coming out in the back. When there aren't enough of us and it's hot, plants evaporate everything, so we get very little water. So we end up with a wetland in the back, but it's not that wet that often. It's semi-wet from time to time, you see. That's it. Afterward, we'd see. We'd need the same number of people here always. The volume should be calculated based on the number of people and water usage. For now, that's the interesting idea. When it works, it's interesting, but when it stops, it just stops. That's also why reeds are cut during hot periods when everything evaporates. To reduce it a bit, this evaporation will help us get more water at the output, and it won't affect the water treatment at all. The bacteria around the roots do the work, not the plant. Even if it loses leaves, the bacteria remain, so I'm not sure. We would need to analyze it chemically. The chemical quality of outgoing water. For example, for me, the concern that could arise is this. In the middle of winter, the plants are less active, so naturally the bacteria also reduce their activity. Using a lot of water in winter may not have allowed enough time for organic matter to decompose properly. It's the same in summer. The problem is, no water comes out at the end because we don't use enough and it all evaporates. It's fine, never mind, there's no water, so we make do. Alternatively, if we use too much water and it keeps coming out before it can be processed, that would mean there's still some kind of nasty organic matter left in the water at the end. And that might not be good for the vegetables.
You still need to manage the phyto. It's not optional.
It doesn't run automatically. You must calculate volumes based on your water use and evaporation. There are a lot of things to manage, so I don't know everything. But well, there you go. It's something to think about. Also, whether the plant's transformed organic matter ultimately affects the taste of the vegetables. Mineral matter, regardless of the organic matter's origin, always ends up as mineral matter. Where there might be a problem is if there are, I don't know, antibiotics or things like that in it. But for me, the problem comes from something else. The problem isn't how it manages to transform the plant. It comes from what do you use in your kitchen? What's your soap? What's your dishwashing liquid? What's your laundry detergent? What are you going to throw in there? So for me, phytotherapy is about doing everything as long as you use and put good products in there. I'm not sure good is right, but anyway, shower gel, Tahiti and other shower items. Okay, stop, no.
Would it be better? Shall we continue the tour? What do you want to show us next?
I'm not sure what's next. We're heading to the vegetable garden over there. Here's the little amaratic curve. It's a curve, not a spiral, due to limited space. An aromatic plant, since we're next to the kitchen, will likely need these often.
Give us a few names and one or two uses, even if there are 50,000 others.
What is basilic shiso? That's shiso. It's a Chinese-Korean aromatic herb. The bicolor variety is used more in Korea. They call it sesame over there, even though botanically it's not a sesame. What do we have? We have Bolivian coriander. Well, then we also have some classics. We have parsley in the back. We have basil. We have a little chili pepper. Here, go ahead, watch a little video, that little experiment there. Yeah, that's empty. We need to put some water in it. It's drinking fast these days, but it's a walnut tree. Yeah, so we're testing it. Usually this causes plant roots in the area to gather nearby. So for Rapide, it's just a big clay pot. There must be 3 to 4 liters of water in there, so it's a pretty big clay pot that's microporous. If you put your pot on a table and fill it with water, it won't leak. The surface will just stay damp, so nothing will be watered. On the other hand, the plants will put their roots around it, and they're the ones that will draw the water, so the thirstier the plants are, the more strongly they'll draw. If they're not thirsty, the water remains until the plants need it. That's it, that's the theory. It works pretty well in theory. In practice, during drought periods, then sometimes you still have to water around because it's just too dry. So here, I don't know, maybe it should be tested in a different environment. Here the area is extremely dry around and the soil is a bit raised above the ground. Maybe we could do this lower in a more humid area. That would be perfect. Here it's just a test. I only have one. So it's not a very scientific method. We would need several in different areas and with several types of plants around.
I have a question. How many liters do you recommend per square meter, for example? Have you tested this?
It depends. You
see, it depends. How much?
Watering liters, no.
A pot of how many liters?
No, you don't have, no, really, I don't know. I managed to...
Stick it on again.
For me, the bigger it is, the longer it lasts. With a small container, you'll need to refill daily. The goal of this would be to be able to go on vacation for a few days and that it is enough for a certain area for a certain amount of time. Sellers often claim it's a small amount for just a few aromatic plants. For me, that volume is 4 trees if you have one plant gloria at its base.
Maybe when it's a
shrub, not a tree, there are 4 liters. Don't water the tree.
Notice with its roots, it explodes in the end.
Eventually it explodes, especially the tree. It goes deep and doesn't need to grow on the surface. I don't know yet. It's worth experimenting, but I don't have enough feedback now.
All right, but that's good. It's true that you really experiment with everything that's out there.
I like it, yeah. I like to question myself a bit, things like that. People say this works. Oh yeah, it works. Okay, let's try it. And even better, the other way around, when people tell me this doesn't work, okay? And then you're proud to film, you're proud, you say, I don't know.
It worked.
Yes, or just say, yes, no, you were right, it doesn't work. No, but I like it since things will work out later. But since practices, climate, soil and plants differ, not everything will work the same. So I'm not one to say this works, that doesn't work. There are things that make it work a little better one way or a little better another way. But you have to put everything back in context depending on your location, your climate, your land.
So, Remy, we were about to leave, but I have a quick question. Here you did, I don't know if we can call this mulching.
I would call this mulching, yes?
Stoning.
Stoning, yes, stoning. Afterwards, we say plastic mulching, so we don't say plasticking, but yes, that's something else. Yes, that's something else. We're not going to do that here. No, I think mulching means covering the soil with organic or inorganic material, and each type offers different benefits. And look, since you're ready here, you were saying it doesn't dry out the soil, water doesn't evaporate through the stone. Often when you lift a stone, you notice that underneath the soil is moist. It's lively and full of tunnels, so it creates a microclimate. The soil beneath will dry out less than if there were no stones. Additionally, in winter, the stone's inertia differs from soil, helping it retain heat. It absorbs heat during the day and releases it at night, allowing you to grow plants that wouldn't survive without the stones. For example, Paul there has impressive videos online showing his work on a very large scale. A water reservoir, so a lake, rocks behind it on the north side, and around that he grows squash right in the mountains. In Austria, the sun will heat up the stones, will reflect off the water, and will heat up the stones even more. The humidity and nearby water create a unique microclimate.
Okay, you see, I thought the opposite, that it would dry things out too much.
No, not at all.
Can you explain to us what creating ponds at the Garden of Wonders has brought you?
Yeah, life? Oh, a dragonfly.
Ah, it's wonderful. When did he say that? So here's the answer.
In pictures. So what it brought me, well, life to begin with. So like I said earlier, what I want is life in my garden. Even arid deserts have life, though less water means less life overall.
Adding a water source to a desert creates an oasis, increasing the number of living species there 1,000-fold.
It brought me frogs, dragonflies, newts, salamanders, and toads. It really helps control the so-called pests. Frogs will eat some, like craneflies, mosquito larvae, and those grey worms that eat lettuce. Well, mosquitoes, frogs, they eat the craneflies. So that keeps things in check. That's just one example. There are plenty more. Life exists, and that presence will regulate everything. Biodiversity balance. So it brings that. The aesthetic side is great, and the microclimate will add some humidity, which is also interesting. As a child, I could spend hours by a pond just watching what happened, and that aspect too. Well, even today, even after growing up, you know, there are even little fish. So this is the only pond where I put fish. I always refuse to put fish in my ponds. In this one, I put some there. Well, you see, I still don't know the name. Every time I want to say it, I forget it. Well, it'll come back to me.
You always know the answer. What did you plant? I see some.
I don't know the name of that one. No, but you see, no, I know.
Remy.
I don't know everything. I do know it's an oxygenating plant that will help stabilize the water's oxygen level. But it's the same for the fish. I don't remember their names, but what I do know is that they're fish that won't get bigger than this, 2 or 3 centimeters. They eat mosquito larvae, but they won't eat too many of the other aquatic larvae, and they won't eat the other aquatic insects that I want to keep. And they're small enough to become prey themselves for dragonfly larvae. So it just adds one more element to the pond ecosystem, and it's not going to eat everything. For example, I don't want a pond with large goldfish or koi carp. They're pretty, but having them makes it much harder to maintain balance. They're going to eat a lot of life in the pond, and in the end you'll end up with almost nothing but them. So that's a no, right? However, small fish that are part of the ecosystem and adapted to our temperate zones are acceptable. In winter, they'll survive under the ice, so you don't need to add more each year. It's a test. They haven't been here long, but they're clearly enjoying it.
While I was interviewing you, I saw, look, there's a frog right there looking at me.
How does she want to do that so late?
No, but there's lots of life and insects. How many traps did you make? I think you have several.
It seems so. Oh yeah, I make about 1 every year. That's one like the one we made during a permaculture workshop. There's another one, but we can move forward a bit. So this one is about a year and a half old almost. Here, there's one that's a year older.
Okay, and do you see the difference?
Ah, well, yeah, totally, yeah. Here, look how it's swarming there.
There's some comfrey over there, I think.
Comfrey from Chisot, but a different variety, plus 2 dwarf cherry trees, over there in Goumenier. That's the elderberry area with smaller bushes behind. A lot of mint. The mint brings life. You can see butterflies everywhere.
Yet, I thought that mint repelled some insects. That's what people often say.
Yeah, I'm not sure. No, it doesn't repel them. It will disturb the sense of smell of some insects because they use scent to find their way. If mosquitoes are attracted by a certain smell of sweat and we use mint or citronella, they won't be able to smell us, so they won't be attracted. It will repel them. For mosquitoes, it repels them. Some pests, when they want to mate, the male has to find the female by her scent. Place tansy, mint, lemon balm, and aromatic plants at the base of affected trees. It won't prevent reproduction, but it will slow them. Males will detect many scents and occasionally a female's. They'll still find her eventually, but much less than if there were no scents to disturb them. So it mainly serves to disturb some insects a little, but on the other hand, the flowers attract many others. So it's interesting.
Yes, Tanzi, you recommended it to me, I remember.
Yes, well, be careful. I also have friends who have a place where they've made an orchard or a vegetable garden, and they've put tansy all over the place. The project didn't go well. The land sat abandoned for a year or two, then restarted. They wanted to do things again on that land and they had a hard time. The tansy had taken over everything. It was soil that had been well enriched for the vegetable garden. So they stopped growing vegetables there. But the tansy really thrived and took over the whole place.
Mowing it and using it as mulch, for example.
If you mow it for mulch, it regrows and keeps returning if you try to plant other things. Depending on your goals, that's also a permaculture principle. Turning disadvantages into advantages. If you have a problem, you try to turn it to your advantage and use it. So why not make an orchard in this area full of tansy? Skip vegetables since tansy will spread. Planting fruit trees is a good idea. They'll be protected. Yes, yes, yes. This one's a bit older. You can see the plant I put there, though I still don't know its name.
See?
No, that's for men. You have a bit of a beard and cheeks. Oh yeah? Oh, little one. I took these branches from here and threw them over there. In a year it should look like this. So here you can see that it's starting to be much more closed off. So it's going to attract, no matter what type of vegetation, it's going to attract different things. Neither is better or worse. An open pond, meaning one with less plant life, has much more open water. You're going to have a lot of gerrits, for example. So just to give you an idea of how it works, the gerrit, those water spiders, they're the little bugs that walk on the water. They communicate by standing on their back legs with front legs free. Males and females communicate by tapping the water to create vibrations. Here we see that when plants like that are present, they can't communicate and reproduce less. So they're less attracted to this kind of area. All insects or aquatic animals that need light underwater, as soon as there's vegetation on top, if there are a lot of duckweed, they'll have less light, so it will create a different ecosystem. None are more interesting to me than the others. What I find interesting is having as many as possible, which is what I mean by biodiversity. There are 3 levels of definition of biodiversity. Interspecific biodiversity, between species, lots of different species. Interspecific biodiversity means within each species a lot of different individuals. And ecosystem biodiversity means lots of different environments. In your area, the ecosystem is an area and the beings that live in it. A pond, hedge, forest, and ocean are all ecosystems. Damn.
A rock is an ecosystem.
A rock in a pond forms one ecosystem, while in a dry meadow it creates another. So these are defined areas with defined beings. The more different ones you have in an area, the richer your biodiversity will be. The richer your biodiversity is, the more balance you will have.
And here you can really see the balance. There are at least 100 plants all around. It's crazy.
Yes, and then the area around it is quite rich as a result. So,
which comfrey is this? Isn't this the one you gave me?
that one is the big Russian one.
All right.
The classic wild botanical variety, that's the one we isolated. Boking 14 is a cultivar well known to permaculturists. It's more vigorous and doesn't reseed itself. I've never seen that one reseed itself, so that's not its main advantage, but it's definitely vigorous. Boking 14. When I first grew it, I didn't notice much difference. When I began making cuttings, it was Boking 14. You take a root, you slice it into rounds, you toss your rounds like that, and you have comfrey everywhere.
And comfrey, what does it bring, among other things, to a plot of land? So
I'll make a video about that one day, because you could make an entire video just about that. What does it bring? It brings 3 different things. Food-wise, so you can eat it.
Oh, really? Because I was told be careful. Don't overdo it with comfrey. Yes?
Don't overdo it. Like many foods, you shouldn't eat a bowl of comfrey daily. There's an alkaloid, I don't remember which one, but there's a certain alkaloid contained in comfrey, so you really shouldn't overdo it. It's mainly concentrated in the root, so we don't eat the root, no problem. And a few comfrey leaves you can eat from time to time. They're better when young, but become stringy and less appealing as they age. But those young leaves there, if you cook them well, you can make fritters, you can put them in soups, omelettes, pies, you can do a lot of things with them.
You yourself, comfrey? Ah?
Yes, I will.
It's okay, you can stand then? Yes.
No, that's all. There's something toxic in it, an alkaloid like nicotine. There are many alkaloids. Do we say that people should stop smoking cigarettes? Or are we trying to tell everyone to buy cigarettes because it brings in money?
So, should we smoke comfrey then? And
Yeah, well, yeah, that's it. But nicotine is much more dangerous, I think, than what's in comfrey. And yet, there are people who will say that comfrey, be careful, not the stems, they're actually toxic despite what people say. No, I leave the stems to eat. No, but that's it. I say stem, I consider myself a stem too. Food-wise, it's really interesting, and medicinally, it's fascinating too. We'll try not to digress. So, in addition to this alkaloid, it contains molecules that are healing. So, comfrey, the word comes from that. Comfrey is a plant that mends. So, for fractures, muscle tears, wounds, and so on, very interesting. I've heard plenty of stories like that. If you use comfrey poultices right after a fracture, it may heal too quickly.
as a poultice then, okay, but...
For example, as food, it works too. As a balm, you can make ointment with the roots. There are lots and lots of ways to do it. It's sometimes too effective. Applying a comfrey poultice to a fresh wound can seal in infection, causing an abscess and making it ineffective. So there you go, very healing, very effective. And the last benefit is in the garden. It has a taproot that goes down quite deep, so it brings up minerals from deep in the soil and brings them back to the surface. Especially potash, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, for those familiar with nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium fertilizers. That's the case for potash. It's interesting for everything related to flowering and fruiting. Nettle, on the other hand, is interesting for nitrogen. Nitrogen is for everything related to leaves. Using nettle for nitrogen and comfrey for potash covers all your needs for leaves, flowers and fruits. So your whole cycle will be covered. So with that, you can do an extreme shock treatment or make comfrey purines. Personally, I don't use that method. Or use it as mulch, because actually, I say I don't use it. I'll explain why. If you make a comfrey purine, you'll mineralize your potash a little, you'll make it directly available to the plants. Mineral matter is absorbed only by plants, so if you add too much, the plant may take it all and get burnt or leave some unused. And your mineral matter will go down into your soil all the way to the groundwater, and it becomes a pollutant. It's too risky for me, but that's not how it works in nature. Your leaves will decompose in the soil. The potash contained in the leaf, which was brought up from deep down by the plant, will decompose on the soil. Soil life breaks down material at a natural pace, making it absorbable for organisms in the soil. Finally, the plant absorbs it again, completing the cycle. And that's a natural cycle, and there is no loss in the natural cycle. There is never any pollution. Nature and forests don't pollute themselves. Plants can't pollute.
Ah, that's wonderful. Wow, wow.
Depressed dragonfly, we're getting disturbed by the dragonfly.
Thank you, Remy, because this is a little side note, but it's crazy. This alone could be an episode. Just this.
I've got it, there's an episode to make.
And we're going to manage to finish the garden. But every time there are a billion interesting things. But it's... I charged the battery all the way because I thought Remy is passionate and maybe less talkative than me, for sure. Although no, but it's true that it is. I won't go on about that, Remy. It felt odd when he said, I don't know many people who talk more than you. That really surprised me, Remy. Then we were. So then... we crossed the pond, because I'll try to reconstruct it later, in the editing. Could we go take a look? There are a lot of structures, so they must be.
We're in the vegetable garden area. I may not have mentioned that earlier. So the south is over there. The further up we go, the more tall trees we have in the back, and the more we are here, the fewer trees there are. There are only low plants. This is the vegetable garden where we grow vegetables, and the soil is richest and deepest. This is where we grow our vegetables. Tomatoes, zucchini and corn. Let's move on and take a look.
So, bamboo structure. Is it local bamboo you have?
Bamboo from the bamboo grove, which is about 1 kilometer down that way as the crow flies. So, yeah, just look at how tall they get. It's either carried by several people or transported in a truck with 10 meters of bamboo sticking out.
Show you how high they can go. Excellent. And then does it grow back the next year, buddy?
Yeah, it works. What should we do? Should we try crossing over?
Wow, you have a machete? Impressive.
So yeah, like I was saying, the goal is really to get rid of as much grass as possible. So underneath here, there's still some grass. If you look between the areas, the grass is shaded by big plants, so it grows less. And what I like to do, you see, I'll show you directly as a demo. Here, for example, you see we have lettuce, a wild lettuce that has already produced its seeds. So there you go, the seeds are ready, they're going to grow everywhere. I don't need this one anymore, it's in my way. What do I do with it? I just cut it and put it on the ground. There. In the milk, I won't do everything, but you get the idea. We put this in, step on it, and add organic matter to the milk. I don't need it now, so it's mulched here. If I needed mulch on the growing area, I'd use it there. If I ever need more organic matter, I just scrape some decomposed material from the milk and add it to the growing area. And basically everything stays here. There's no need to take it to the compost, to make compost, to bring the compost back. Everything is done here on site. And besides, these are elements that were taken from deep in the soil. Here, there's no reason to take it over there just to bring it back here. Everything stays on site.
So you wait for it to go to seed first so it can reproduce year after year?
No, it depends. Here, this is a lettuce. Lettuce is eaten when it's yellow in the spring, so this one, I want it to go to seed. If it's... Well, I won't find any. I'm looking for an example of a plant I don't want to have, but no, I like them all. But if it was a plant I wanted less, I wouldn't wait. Once it flowers, I cut it and lay it on the ground to let it go to seed. So I let it go to seed because the seed is interesting. And it's also interesting in terms of the plant's lignification. The older the plant, the higher the carbon to nitrogen ratio. We won't go too much into detail about that, but the more developed it is, the more carbon there is and the less nitrogen. The goal isn't to add nitrogen to make fertilizer. The goal is to increase the carbon content in the soil, to feed the fungi in the soil so that it's more balanced. So the more we feed the...
Fungi?
Yeah, well, the lignin, the cellulose from plants. Yeah, so it's rich. Carbon is essential for all organic matter, but lignin mostly feeds fungi. They're the only living beings that know how to break down lignin.
All right, let's go into the jungle.
So yeah, you've got zucchinis, tomatoes, a few fruit trees. So look over there, Elise. Hey, that's a beautiful plant. Can you show it? No, don't move. Show it next to you. So that big bramble growing there. Yes, I see it. That's a different variety. The triple crown, which is thornless and grows large. Excellent blackberries. Yeah, well, there you go. There are a few. Yeah, well, there was one. Yeah, that's the kind of brambles I plant here, and they grow really well. There, starting from the second year in place, you don't need to water this one anymore. It will find water right where it needs to. Okay. And then after that, it grows on its own. You just have to control it a little, trim it back. The bamboo structure is used for growth and to hang strings for tomatoes to climb. Over there, it's more so the bramble can attach itself to it. Go ahead, yeah. I won't list every plant, but besides tomatoes, there are physalis, pear, and melon. Over there, there's tomatillo, marigolds in the middle of the sunflowers up there, which provide a bit of shade and bring seeds for the birds.
A great chef told me physalis is also called love in a cage. Can you explain why?
It's a physalis, also known as love in a cage metanane. Botanically, physalis is a genus with several species. That one? Well, I don't even know if that's actually a physalis, is it? Tomatillo, is it a physalis? Yes, it must be a physalis. Okay, go check to confirm. Yes, she confirms. Then you have the Physalis prenosa, the snack plum, the one she has. So wait, that one? You can eat them, but there aren't any ripe fruits yet. Then there's the Chinese lantern, the ornamental one with an orange husk and edible red ball inside. The fruit isn't toxic, but there's little reason to eat it. Why is it called Chinese lantern? Why that name? So the question is, you see, do you want a long video? No? We're off then? Why is it called Chinese lantern? Because the red ball inside symbolizes love and it's contained in this kind of envelope. If left through autumn and winter, the membrane decomposes, leaving only little veins that form a small cage around the red ball. And so, in the language of flowers, this plant, if you give it to someone, you can offer it at two different stages. You can give it with the orange envelope covering the ball, which can't be seen because of the envelope. In the language of flowers then, the language of flowers is when you give a flower to someone and there's a message in the plant. If I give it now, I'm offering love discreetly. It shouldn't be obvious since you can't see the ball.
Libertinism, right? Yeah.
Call it whatever you want. And what if you offer it at the other stage, where it's the membrane that's decomposed? With just the cage with the red ball inside that we see there, it means love in a cage. It means I want you for myself and only myself, and you will be mine. I
Will distribute you?
At what stage do you offer them?
That's huge. And so here, we are in relation. Wait, because you were talking about zoning, we can see in the back there, which zone would you say we're in? Because we were talking about it as much as we could.
We're in the vegetable garden area, so most big trees are elsewhere. There aren't many trees here, actually, almost none. There are still some. It's sunny here, but I don't want too many large open areas. I want less wind here and a few trees, even without many around. So for example, you see there's a peach tree here. A peach tree, yeah, vineyard peach, yeah, it's not even better yet. So we won't be able to listen to that one, but we'll have a few others. What do we have? Almond trees are in the back, plum and strawberry trees are over there. The bamboo area has kiwi growing on top, though they're not tall enough yet. There's a vine up there, Exalta, it's seedless grapes for those who know.
And here, where are we? We're 50 meters away, so what zone is this?
So in terms of zoning, for me, everything is unique. Nothing is completely defined, so everyone does a bit as they like. And for me, we're still in zone 1.
All right, okay.
Since distance won't define the zone, it's how often you go daily. Like I said, if you go twice a day, that's zone 1. So in your zone 1, that means if you want to add something that needs to be present twice a day, you add it to your zone 1. If you lack space, add it to zone 2, but then that part of zone 2 turns into zone 1. Is how often you enter that zone that defines it. And since I love walking around the garden in the morning, I love walking around the garden in the evening. So we're still in the vegetable garden area, so zone 1, zone 2 at certain times, but mostly zone 1. I'm not sure if you can tell, but my plot extends to the tree in the back, so those are right on the edge. My hedge, my garden, for me, it's going to be here, right here. The tree over there is 10 meters away. So here, the hedge between my place and the neighbors is 10 meters wide inside this hedge. We can't go now because there are too many of us, but there's a small path we can take, maybe from the end. I go there from time to time. When I say zone 5, it's the area where we don't go, or at least we don't go there to work. We can go there to observe. I enjoy having wild areas to watch nature in action. Often we try everything to make things grow and they don't, but when we do nothing, they do. The idea is to have a wild area to observe what happens there. Mike, it's 10 meters wide. I visit occasionally to see what's living there. It's interesting.
It's already grown a lot since last year.
Yes, this area is pretty new.
Things that are 2.5 meters tall.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll head over there. When you look, it's...
Giant sunflowers, something like that.
That's not the giant one. The giant one is even bigger and taller. And here then, by the way, just a little detail about this small patch of comfrey in the middle. That's something I saw with some market gardeners in Belgium. They also have rows like here, with crops on the sides for market gardening. Hedges in the middle filled with comfrey, then trees, but mainly lots of comfrey. There you go. I want to create this area, to prepare this area, to plant false mulches. Well, we cut the comfrey to mulch again and we do the cultivation. After a few weeks or months, comfrey regrows, providing more material for spreading. This central area supplies potash to the sides. We can see, like, in some areas there are nettle patches and all that right there. We don't need to go further to get our material. It grows in the middle of the cultivation areas.
So once you've mowed this area, can you replant right after, or do you just use the mulch during the replacement?
Replant?
Replant? Some things, yes.
I'll plant there. For me, like, comfrey grows here. Like, later, if we plant, we could add a tree or two in those spots, as long as they grow above and don't compete with the comfrey or interfere when I mow it. Me, I need over there. I don't have the right tools with me, but there, all you need is a knife. Just like that, you go slice, one cut with the knife, you get those leaves. Some people use a mower, I've done the same. One pass shreds it finely, then you add it to your soil. Depending on your method, the benefits vary. It's always the same. Use the mower to shred and mulch it. It won't dry out fast and will decompose quickly, providing potassium rapidly. Or, if you want it as an insulator, leave the leaves whole on top. This creates a more durable mulch. So, depending on how you do it, it will have different benefits. And the main thing is to have this area where there's only comfrey so that you can regularly cut it and let it grow back.
It's really hot today.
It's beating down.
What's wild is it's harsh where you are, yet everything stays green, while here everything is burning. But I think it's because the concentration of everything gives it a bit of shade.
That's the idea of planting trees tall enough so the wind doesn't rush in too much at the bottom. It's to create that microclimate. The more tall vegetation there is, the thicker the ecosystem will be, let's say. The thicker it is, the more humid the bottom. Trees send roots deep and release moisture through leaf evapotranspiration. More trees mean more moisture in the air and better wind protection, allowing more growth underneath. So that's one of the things that helps vegetables grow behind them. Vegetables don't grow as well in open meadows with wind and full sun as squash does at the forest edge. You see, you can have the forest in the back on the north side and the squash along the edge like that. The squash get full sun, but the forest's cool wind behind them keeps them from overheating.
Do you plant based on prevailing winds or work with those conditions?
Yeah, my design takes the prevailing winds into account, but I'm not really great at that. Most of the winds you see come from the west, and that's not where the thickest hedges are. But the idea would be at least all around to make windbreaks, well, not necessarily wind stoppers, to calm the winds a bit and keep plenty of trees in the area so the wind doesn't come rushing in. Also behind, so the wind stays higher up, that would be good. It's not really something you calculate much.
Remy, while we're moving to another area or place, I'm going to ask you a question.
My soil, there are gorse plants, there are ferns. What kind of soil is it? If you know a little bit, what could I do to improve my soil? Because my vegetables grow very poorly, but on the other hand, stone fruit trees do well. So does that mean anything to you, this kind of thing?
If you have broom and ferns, your soil is definitely acidic. That's what we call bioindicator plants. Depending on which plants are growing, they'll tell you what kind of soil you have and what you can start with. For me, you shouldn't think that you can change your soil. If your soil is too chalky, mulching with pine needles alone won't make it acidic enough for berries that prefer acidic soil. So you adapt. How can you improve your soil? Since here we're mainly talking about vegetable gardens, fruit plants and so on, those like neutral or slightly acidic soils. Organic matter, as it decomposes, will make the soil a bit more acidic. So even if you have soil that's not too chalky but a little bit chalky, the more organic matter you add, the more you'll acidify your soil and make it fertile for vegetable plants that like soils that are, well, slightly acidic. There's a limit to that though. If the soil is too calcareous and you acidify only the surface, you can't plant trees that prefer acidic soils since the acidity doesn't reach deeper layers. Where the soil mixes below, it's still somewhat acidic, but less so. Usually calcareous soil means the underlying bedrock is also calcareous. So your tree, once its roots go down and reach the calcareous rock, it's not going to like it. The goal is to adapt to your soil. You can improve it or maintain it. More organic matter makes it more interesting. You can help it improve, but you can't change the soil. If deep down your soil is limestone, well, you'll have to adapt to your limestone soil. You won't necessarily be able to grow a lot of berries and things like that. So,
Otherwise, what do you recommend I plant at my place? If I have bracken and ferns, what will thrive there?
you can adjust a note, for example, if a plant from a certain family thrives there. As I mentioned, I noticed many brambles growing on my land. I'm planning to grow blackberries and other brambles there. If there's a lot of bracken, which is a legume, you might think, will legumes grow there?
Peas, beans.
For example, yeah. So you adapt to what grows and you tell yourself that this kind of plant will be able to grow. And then the more organic matter you add, the more you can broaden the spectrum, the kinds of different plants you can grow.
That's interesting. Let's say I have nightshades that grow well on my land. So I have to identify the yellowed plants. I look at what type of plants they come from, and then I put...
This often works, but not always. Plants from the same family may have different needs. Still, it usually works. What do we call a hedge with many prunus or plum trees? Blackthorn, that's it, slow as growing. Yeah, well, you can tell yourself that the plum trees are going to grow well there. All right, there, just behind you, you see there's some wild rose, but just behind that is wild blackthorn.
See, good, it's a nice defensive hedge.
Nothing gets through. So over there in the back, that's blackthorn, but right in front of you, that's a plum tree. All right, so you see the blackthorn in the back, it's growing well, and the blackthorn, well, boom, it found its happiness, okay?
I have many cherry trees, wild and sweet, growing. It's all the same as that shows.
So the type of soil that it indicates, that I don't necessarily know, but in any case, it shows that the soil is going to be just fine. The Rosaceae family includes roses and many fruit trees, so it's beneficial for most of them. If you have wild cherry or bird cherry trees, be cautious. If you no longer want your bird cherry, you can cut it down and graft another cherry or a plum onto it.
Can you put plums on a cherry tree?
I'm not sure.
Come on, come here, I can get it.
I think, wait, yes, about what? About myrobalant, cherry tree, myrobalant, we put plum tree, all that, so yes. Okay, yes, we did that.
Anyway, I'll do some tests with all this.
Check it. Are we getting there? Yes, you'll find things I don't know. No, after that, many will say you can't graft, I don't know. Read Maurice Chaudier, he's excellent. He's the kind of guy who was told you can't graft just anything onto anything. For instance, grafting chestnut onto oak doesn't work, but he still did it. Grafting olive onto ash? Well, no, that doesn't work. Any manual will tell you it doesn't work. Well, he did it, you see? For me, the experimental side defines the kind of person I am. Yeah, you shouldn't stop at what you hear people say. Someone might tell you that. It doesn't work because he managed to do it. Or they'll say this method works really well because he managed to do it. But that doesn't mean it will be the same for you. If he said it didn't work, that doesn't mean it won't work for you. And just because it worked for him doesn't mean it will work for you. It goes both ways.
But you told me that during the lessons, you said you share what works for you, but advise me to test and experiment at home. You push us, but you're also one who often told me to observe, observe, observe.
Yes, that's part of the basics. Observe and interact. That's one of the principles in permaculture. It's not observe and interact at the same time, it's observe. First, see how things are going and then use that observation to do something with it. But you see, like I was saying, not everything works for everyone. Well,
What doesn't work for you? Can you give examples like planting 10 times over your 10 years at the Garden of Wonders?
what doesn't work? Do you see eucalyptus, for example? I tried 2 or 3 times and one lasted 4 or 5 years, but no, it ended up dying because of the cold. No, I think the root reached the bedrock and didn't suit it, then one day it just stopped growing back. I tried again and planted a different variety hoping it would work. No, what doesn't work? Kiwis. I tried several times, but they died from the cold and dryness. But now I tried again, and there are so many varieties. In the things that don't work, we often find new varieties that often... So it doesn't work on acidic soil, but this variety might do a bit better on acidic soil. So we'll try this one, and then we'll be able to try something. For example, since a certain plant won't grow in acidic soil, but I have acidic soil, we'll graft it onto a plant that can tolerate acidity. So there you go. For me, there's not much that has resisted me. That's not true. A lot of things resist me, but there's not much that made me say, oh, okay, it doesn't work, I give up. No, that's not how it works. There's no nemesis. Yeah, come on, let's keep trying. Yeah, you have to know where you want to go. If you know where you want to go, you can fall flat on your face, you know, like a kid. Well, I don't know anyone who stopped trying to walk just because they fell. It's because you know you're going to manage to walk, you know, you'll get there one day. I have a goal to reach. I want to grow plants. I want to have a place rich in biodiversity and food. Well, I'm going to make it. Even if I had a year of drought, we had minus 20 degrees when I arrived 10 years ago. Yeah, we've had winters at minus 20. We have summers with drought and heat waves where everything dies. If only one plant survives, I'll take cuttings or seeds from it, so next year it will be better adapted. So yes, there are a lot of failures and mistakes, but just like we said earlier, if something doesn't work, you use it to move forward. It failed. Why? I'll try to improve and do things differently so we get through it.
Yes, our own seeds. Silly question, but yes.
Most of them, not all. Everything that's, for example, squash quite a bit, well, that's I still buy because it's a plant that's monoecious.
Yes, it's not that it can merge with others.
Yes, that's right. It will cross-pollinate, not be monoecious. This means the plant has both male and female flowers. So it doesn't self-pollinate. Unlike tomatoes, all solanaceae self-pollinate, so your tomato plant will produce fruit even with different varieties. It self-pollinated before the flower opened, so you can harvest knowing the seed is good. Cucurbits, including all squashes, have separate flowers, so they can't self-pollinate. Bees do the work, so if you have various zucchini or squash varieties on your land, well, the bees, they don't say, oh, let's wait. We'll be careful to stay on the same plant because otherwise he won't be happy. No, the bee doesn't care. She leaves. Maybe she doesn't totally ignore you, but still she does. She will cross with the same species, no matter the varieties. If there are several varieties of the same species, she will spread the pollen everywhere. And so your seeds will be, well, it'll be a mix of different zucchinis, different squashes. If you grow different squashes on your land, you'll get seeds that year after year will get closer to the fodder pumpkin, the big pumpkin that's not very sweet, not very tasty. It's less interesting. There are ways to make seeds, but honestly, I haven't had time to focus on it yet.
Oh, Remy, he sees it there.
Where are we now? So right now we're on the highest part of the garden, the driest part, so it's the least cultivable, the least fertile. At ground level it dries out very quickly. It's an area where... What is it? Oh yes, I'll continue. No?
No, but you have the mic, you do as you like.
Just like earlier. Yes, okay? When I first arrived years ago, I tried growing things there, but nothing lasted. The only things that really lasted, well, you see, there are trees. So back there are trees that are pretty big that have lasted. There's a walnut tree there that's been holding on for 7 or 8 years.
Tell us, what else is there so we can know a bit about what they're pulling on the...
Dry things. Walnut, ash, hazel, well, monk's pepper, it holds up well. Yeah, that's it, yeah. So yeah, he knows. Some things held up well, others didn't. There's also Sichuan pepper in the back, it seems. Well, there you go. There are things that hold up well and things that don't hold up as well. And then there were brambles that I fought against at first, and then later I fell back on the more cultivable areas. So I said to myself, well, never mind, I'll give up. We're entering a new area. Let's move ahead. There are brambles from here. I can't recall the variety's name, but it's a type of bramble that doesn't grow taller than this. It's not like the one we saw earlier with big stems that grow really tall. This one doesn't get much taller than this. So here you can see it's everywhere. Here there's a big bush. All right?
Did you bring these brambles or did they come on their own?
These ones grew naturally. They're part of the brambles you can find pretty much everywhere depending on the region. But here you can find them all over the place. So for a tree, for example, here we planted a tall walnut tree. And when we planted it, it was already at this height. So it's already above the brambles, even though the brambles here, you see, we're letting them grow little by little. At first we cleared around it, we dug the planting hole properly and we put it in place. Now we're letting the brambles come back. We're going to let them, they'll normally come back up to here. As long as there are leaves on top, the lower branches and leaves can stay smothered. It won't hurt the trunk. I don't need nuts here. And it will grow. And I think the idea is that after a while, the brambles, they grow in full sunlight. If under the woods, well, if you go into a forest, you have the meadow, the brambles, they're on the edge. As soon as the trees grow and cast shade, the bramble is smothered and eventually disappears. They'll gain ground under the walnut tree while it's like this. And then once it has grown enough, once it's big enough and starts to have a good yield, it will have cast shade on the bramble and it will have settled down a bit. At that point, it won't be hard in the end to remove them and put something else in their place. So you can get under the tree to pick the fruit from the tree or from the ground.
I was going to ask how you'll get the nuts from the brambles, but it'll sort itself out.
Not entirely, I hope. It's just theory until then. After that, it's real. In a forest under the trees, brambles appear but never look like this. Once the trees provide shade, they'll calm down and be easier to remove. There's a place where there's a cherry tree where I did that. I cleared the brambles that were at the base of the cherry tree. And once they were cleared, they didn't come back. Because in the shade anyway, they're less vigorous. So they'll grow around, but not under the tree. So that's how it works.
So you suggest planting in the middle of the brambles once it's a bit tall?
I don't know if I recommend doing it, because then some people will say, oh damn, I can't get to my trees anymore, there are brambles everywhere, I don't know. No, for me it's just a test. You want the story of the bramble? Oh well, go ahead. To simplify how the bramble works, I like to explain it through the story of plant succession. So I'm spoiling a bit of one of the next videos I wanted to make, but I'll just take this part from this one. So imagine a piece of land that's bare, where nothing is growing. You'll have different plants growing in succession. First, annual or perennial plants will complete their cycles multiple times a year. With the goal of covering the soil as quickly as possible, nature and plants aim to protect soil from disappearing since vegetation relies on it, so we act quickly to safeguard it. After that, you'll have herbaceous plants that are a bit more woody, with slightly longer cycles that will come in. And quickly you'll get brambles, wild roses like we have behind us, things with long, very thorny branches that will come in to protect. A bramble patch, I often say, imagine in the wild a deer, a roe deer, a wild boar. If it sees a bramble patch, it goes around it, it never breaks through the bramble patch. Unless trapped, it either knows how or will jump over. Normally it just goes around, so in the bramble patch there's nothing. There aren't any large animals that can get through. And then when it comes to succession, after that you'll have the pioneer trees growing, like blackthorns, hawthorns, thorny trees that are kind of the preparers for the future forest. And after that you'll have the trees. We call it the climax. It's the stable stage, more or less stable, the final one. So the big trees where I come from are oak, chestnut, hornbeam, and quite a few others like that. Rather be. So if we revisit this cycle, do we see brambles' role in the succession? It's just before the forest and protects the area, allowing trees to grow. Deer love eating young trees, but they avoid bramble shoots because they can't get through, allowing young trees to grow. The brambles protect the future forest a bit. They're kind of like the forest nanny.
You shouldn't pull out the brambles. Some people wage war against brambles.
You can pull them out. Now let's move on to something interesting.
I know a lot of people who really wage war against brambles. And yet you're telling us that they still bring a lot.
It brings that, but we're not making a vegetable garden here. If we had to pick things from the tree in the middle, here we can clearly see the big bramble patch. When I planted this, we moved the brambles aside, planted it, and let the brambles regrow. The walnut tree, it's going to end up like this soon. Only the tip will be sticking out.
Yes, but it doesn't kill it. You can see it bursting out.
It's doing well with no issues. It has few leaves due to that year's heat wave, but it's healthy. It's in much better shape than those in completely open areas where in the first few years you have to water them, otherwise they won't survive. That's what I wanted to show now. Go down there. Imagine trying to pick up soil here. I won't attempt it because I can't. But over there in the brambles, wait, where is it? Will I manage? See.
It's damp. Is that what you want to show?
There we go. I'll return with my hand ripped off. See? The soil here is very red. We're far from the gazette.
The gazette is close, but it's lumpy, damp, fresh and full of stuff. But yeah, that
Smells like
mushroom, it's true.
Wait, but yeah, that's good soil.
Here you go. No effort needed to reach this point. The bramble and its ecosystem handle everything, keeping the soil protected and alive. And another thing that happens is that the big animals don't come through. So it's a bit of a protected area. So are there others that come inside?
It's all the birds that are going to make nests in there. Birds, as we know, their droppings are very rich in nitrogen. So in addition to being protected, it's also nourished by the wildlife that comes in there. Another ecosystem like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, great ecosystem, the bramble patch.
So don't pull out the brambles. It's a good sign if you have them in certain areas. But there you go.
Be aware that once you leave it like that, you won't have access to that area for a while. But it's often something that can be done. If you have an orchard that you want to use in 10 years when the trees have grown, let the brambles grow for 10 years, let the trees grow. Once the orchard is established and less light hits the ground, the brambles will disappear on their own or be much easier to manage.
This is a great observation area here.
Yeah.
And here, we're on a part that you weren't able to practice.
Yeah, but now I don't do much or work here anymore. I'm on the more worked area down below. Here we're really on the area that's, it could be zone 3, zone 4. It's an area that I go to, almost zone 5. You see, from the moment I planted my trees, now I don't touch it anymore. You just observe. And I don't water, I don't maintain, I don't weed anymore. Well, that's it, it grows on its own. Okay.
I see over there, is that another structure?
Yeah, that was the old entrance to the garden, but 10 years ago it was still standing.
Look, the vegetation has taken over again.
So what's there? There's honeysuckle, there's some vine in the back and not much growing in the front.
What kind of passion flower is it?
I can't recall the species name. No, it's the one adapted to our climate, the one with edible fruit, passion fruit. Here, it doesn't survive.
And where is it from? And where? Or something like that? Maybe.
Maybe, yeah, and where is it from? Yeah, that sounds familiar to me. Hey, he knows, he knows.
It's true that there's something we really notice about you when we arrive. It's the greenhouse. You're a producer, you make the seedlings. Introduce what you do.
Yeah, here, there are several, well, I wear several hats, I don't know, I have several roles. Yeah, it's hot right now. No, I have an agricultural business side, let's say. Not to call it a farm, even though on paper that's what they call it. I make a living working with living things. I'm not sure what to make of those words. But there you go. I have the plant production side. I sell plants at fairs, markets, all that. And alongside that, we have an association with which we do experimentation and sharing on all the topics that interest us. Nature in general, plants, insects, all that. Permaculture is kind of, I don't know if this is right to say, a buzzword. Permaculture, because it covers so many topics, it's so broad. We don't explore all of them. We do plant production, we do human permaculture a bit, so anything about health management, emotions, communication and group organization. We try to learn everything and the association handles it. For me, there's the professional side where I earn a living from the plants I grow. And besides that, we have an association that we run and with which we share the results of everything we experiment with here.
There are some of your plants that are at the archipelago and are doing really well. The peanuts, I thought it was a greenhouse, but it's a drying shed.
Yeah, we have guests right now. See,
A greenhouse is convenient and useful for many things.
I'd like to, but we'll see. But it was at your place that I learned your anti-slug technique, foolproof for growing your young plants so they don't get eaten.
So we won't really see it, but
it's working right now, but the idea is still there. Over here we have lots of trays that are flat with a tarp at the bottom, but you can do it however you want. The idea is just to be able to fill a tray, and once it's full of water, so let's imagine here it's full of water.
once it's full of water,
You put a pallet in the center, place plants on top like a castle with water around it. Slugs can't swim, but this method is often misunderstood. Visuals help explain it better. Check my other videos for more details. There you go, I tipped you. The plants aren't in the water, water surrounds them, and we use the pallet to raise them above the water. And the plants are above the water, but with water all around. So slugs can't swim, they can't get to them.
So they're still there. It's okay. I thought there was nothing we could do.
No, they can't swim, but slugs are amazing. Some slugs can swim. Climb up there, let yourself down on a kind of thread of slime and get into the area. But once the wolf is in the sheepfold, then it eats everything. You have to remove everything and lift all the pots to find the culprit.
Yeah, still, your technique seems foolproof, but they still get in.
No, nothing is foolproof.
No?
But that being said, since we've been doing this, we've had a lot fewer losses. It's still pretty effective. It has several advantages. In spring, we use them one way, but this season it's the opposite. Here, you can see in this one, we put water in the tray, so the plants soak in the water. When the tray is full, they'll drink the water quickly, so it evaporates in 24 to 48 hours. And that allows me to, you see, I put my plants there, and once they're nice and dry, I fill it with water and they soak in it. It takes 2 to 3 days to evaporate, so their roots stay in water that long. It's not perfect for them, but well, they still survive pretty well. Afterward, they can go 2-3 more days without water since they've rooted, totaling 5-6 days with no maintenance. In the middle of summer, it allows me to go away for the weekend a bit and take a breather. If the plants are thriving, like those over there this season, you need to water daily, sometimes twice.
It's mid-August, so as a producer, I have a question for Remy.
In August,
Yeah.
You switch hats. What do you start preparing in August, probably for the fall? For example, what have you produced in the past few days?
So for the vegetable plants, right now, I'm stopping with the vegetables, and so
For what reasons are you...
I'm changing activities, I'm evolving. I've been doing this for 10 years. I may not have seen everything. There's always more to learn. Yes, come on, let's quickly get into the details, but let's just say it's something that takes a lot of time. For me, it's been 10 years that in the spring, I live only for my work. I've been doing this 15-20 hours a day, you know, and I can't take it anymore. I want to slow down a bit. So now I'm looking for a production that takes less time, but still brings in at least as much money. I'm now diving into fruit trees, so I have grafting to do and several interesting small fruit varieties to discover. It's a bit more technical, you know, but well, I think now I'm almost at the right level, so I'm still practicing a bit to get there. Well, I hope, to still be able to make a living from this, because that's the goal. Since everything I do on the side with the sparring, the workshops, the training, the classes, all of that, well, there are things we already do for free with the sparring, and then other things we do for a fee, but that bring money to the sparring project so that the sparring project can keep going. And me, in the end, with all that, at the end of the month, I still need to eat. So yeah, that's how it is.
All right, so there you think, well, listen, it's that I didn't know. That's something we still talk about from time to time. I didn't know you were converting. And what's really funny is that you're not far from someone I visit regularly, Sebastian.
Famous.
And it's true that with the two of you, we'll be lucky to have local producers. And there are others, right? But
Yeah.
glad you're getting into this. I still have plenty of space at the archipelago, see? Yeah, I know where I'll go.
Well, will you take a tree when you leave? Well, okay.
Thank you, Remy.
One more plant?
Be careful, we'll be filmed soon. I'll mention it's Remy's plant.
Ah, well, great that it's famous. No? And there's another thing, by the way, that I'm going to do, and it's really my own idea. That's been growing for a long time. I love it. Anyone who knows me knows I enjoy telling stories about plants. There are so many fascinating and unique plants in the world. For me, the idea is to free up time, not necessarily to sell plants. Some plants here are mine, not for sale, but you can look at them if you want. These are plants for me that have unique characteristics or ways of growing, of being, that are really super interesting.
And so I want to free up some time for that, to study these plants a bit, to share stories about them. That's it.
I started a little, just a bit. There are several things I like plants and the history of plants. That's my favorite topic. I enjoy discussing plants, especially the unique or less popular ones I mentioned. You see, we're going to talk about couchgrass, we're going to talk about thistles, we're going to talk about all those plants that people don't really like, and brambles. Do you like them? Yeah, why not? I like aphids, I like downy mildew, I like everything that people don't like. It's there for a reason and serves a purpose, so we shouldn't reject it.
Downy mildew, let's move on. He likes it.
Downy mildew, why?
In 1 minute, why isn't downy mildew so bad, even though it really is? People, as soon as they plant tomatoes, that's what they're afraid of. Among other things, I believe it's not just tomatoes, but...
Yes. Then you have powdery mildew on squashes, you have lots of fungi that are pests, diseases, things that will destroy our plants. We don't like them. Downy mildew will show that your crop is too humid, so your plants are too close to each other. Depending on the climate you're in, it works or it doesn't. If you have just a few plants, well, if you have downy mildew on all your plants, either your method doesn't work and you need caution, or your climate isn't suitable. Here we remove the downy mildew, which mainly signals an issue or only affects a few plants. So it's just there to show you that this one is too fragile, that variety is too fragile, or that your method isn't working in this area. See, they all have downy mildew, so there's something wrong here. What do? Instead of cursing downy mildew, say, thank you, downy mildew. Remove it and collect the seeds. If some in a variety had it and others didn't, collect seeds from those without it. Downy mildew simply reveals this. Either a method, a variety, or something else isn't working, and you use that. It's a fungus, so it's going to develop. Well, not all of them, but this one will develop with humidity. So either they're too close together, if there's not enough ventilation between your plants, or you've pruned them too much. So at some point it was too humid, and as a result the fungus came and damaged your plants because you worked on them. Bad timing, it's just there for me, really just an indicator.
An indicator.
Go ahead, sit down. We shouldn't blame him for showing us that our methods aren't working or that our varieties aren't working. He helps us select, he helps us improve, in this case.
We react badly and worry about the environment, but really it's just a warning.
Yes, it's an indicator.
An indicator.
I'm not sure if you still have any, but I remember you used to keep exotic plants like cacti.
I have a few cacti, but it's for...
You, or is it more for...
I used to do this in production, but now it's more of a collection. We can look. Here I have a sensitive and dancing plants. There are already videos about all of that. Aloes include several types: aloe vera, arborescent aloe, and saponaria aloe. There are plenty.
And the plant, you told me about it, so I'm kind of cheating, I can't recall if you have it. The one that traps the Asian hornet, which is kind of like a carnivorous plant.
That's probably a Sarracenia.
Yes, I've seen videos about that, and you have some too.
Over there, yes.
And does that grow everywhere in France, or is it?
So in France, I'm not sure if it's in peat bogs too. Since this carnivorous plant is a bog plant, there must be peat bogs. In France, where there are some, I'm not sure. In Europe, there are places where you can find them, but... So yes, that's the one where insects get stuck, not at the bottom.
Because there's water underneath?
Not necessarily, but some traps go downwards to keep insects from climbing back up. After that, depending on the varieties, there are different ways to do it. Some have a lid on top. Those are passive, not active traps. There's no jaw snapping shut. It's just to keep rain out, protect it, and prevent sugar dilution. Look, a little frog passing by.
A frog, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, wait, I'll take advantage of it. Go ahead, you can take advantage too.
And so often you'll have some who will have, on the roof is a transparent membrane. The insect thinks it can escape, hits the membrane, falls back in, and repeats this until it gets tired. Once it's completely tired, exhausted, it falls, sinks, dies, and then that's when it will end up being digested.
Digests. All right. Okay, yes, that's it. It's not anything else. That's it.
That's how you define a carnivorous plant. It's a carnivorous plant. It's a plant that has both criteria. First criterion, I'm filming you.
I have them.
The first step is attracting and capturing the insect. The second is digesting it. Not all plants are carnivorous. We could discuss this more. For example, there's one called gorgon, which isn't carnivorous since it can digest the insects it catches. That's great.
She
lives in symbiosis with a bug that knows how to eat the insects caught by the plant, and the plant feeds on the bug's droppings, you see? The insect remains stuck on the plant. The avian bug eats it, the avila bug poops on the plant, and the plant reabsorbs the nutrients from the bug's droppings.
But what is that?
That's a sliced cucumber, so it's a cucumber you can eat. So those ones, they would be edible, but the skin is a bit thick. This one might still be a bit small, but
It grows well at our place.
there we go. Let's remove the thorns a bit in the notebook. Can I taste it? Ah, well, yes. Ah.
Okay, it's so people can see it. Yeah, it's not strong. Cucumber, it's a bit spicy. Or maybe it's not inside.
Ah, damn, that one. It's toxic. Ah, yeah. Cut? Cut? No, it's fruit that you eat a bit young like that, as long as it's not too developed yet.
And it grows well in the greenhouse for us.
Listen to me. This is an area where there must have been a seed lying around in my savory plants, and it grew. It's rarely watered, only occasionally, but it's thriving in the greenhouse. The ones outside grow just as well. I planted some and I forgot about them. And then, once they took root,
It's climbing.
or that
Gets on the ground.
it's climbing. It doesn't necessarily have a lot of tendrils to help it climb, but if you give it some support and guide it a bit, it can climb. Like cucumber, like those things, a cucumber, if you put a trellis for it, it'll crawl at the base of the trellis. But if you help it climb up the trellis, once it starts to latch on, it'll also grow above the ground.
So, are they young at this stage, or are they ready to eat when they're this size?
No, they're edible even when I gave them to you small. After that, the seed grows and the skin thickens, making it less appealing to eat. Since the fruit is small, you eat them without peeling. I keep them like this to use the seeds. This vigorous plant grew on its own, found its spot, and gives me lots of fruit.
There you go. I'm collecting the seeds from there. It's well adapted here.
I've done this for a few years, but not every year. With my nice plant collection, I'm starting to notice things. I probably won't ever count them, but I have a lot. Instead of growing everything yearly, I plant those I haven't grown in 2-4 years to renew my seeds. This year I grew calabash for the first time in 4 years. I haven't grown concomentier in 3 or 4 years. There you go. I have many things like that.
Let me jump in on something you said. Since you reproduce your own seeds, how long do you keep them at most? 2 years, you said, before making new ones?
That's really tough. That's one of the things. It's one of the selection criteria, the dormancy period and the germination ability. How long they were good, now they are not. It's really tough actually to tell yourself, okay, I'm going to keep seeds, I'm going to keep them for 3 years, 4 years and calculate, let's say, starting from 10 years. They don't sprout anymore, so you should have kept them for 9 years. You also could have kept another one for a year less to find out the exact timing. I'm not sure if you understand me. It's complicated and not a selection criterion that's addressed.
Even after 10 years, you still lose out.
Yes, especially since you can't repeat those 10 years many times in a lifetime. No, so it's true that it's not necessarily easy. We tried to work on quite a few selections, but the germination period itself is quite difficult.
Remy, to finish this video, do you have a favorite plant, one last plant? Something that, for example, you have, and that's quite rare in France, or something that you brought back, something that has a story? I know you have many, but is there one that really caught your eye since you love plant stories? No.
I have trouble with favorites. I've never had a best friend, you know? I have friends, but not a best one, because then it's not cool for the others. And I don't have a favorite plant either. No, I have... The wildest plant I know dances, and I made a video about it. You could add a link. And so go ahead, let's go see it. We'll talk about it in front of it. Not the sensitive one, so the arborescent one, we can check it quickly. We already did it in passing. So I'll show it to you over there, next to the one that's dancing. Okay, that's another sensitive one. Touch the leaves and they open, touch them again and they start to close. So there you go, you can see that in terms of reactivity, well, it's still pretty good. It's still going pretty fast.
I'll show people like this. Touching it, this one, see? It retracts. That's wild. My battery's nearly dead, but you see...
Perfect timing, that's where the reaction occurs. Then comes the classic sensitive one. Mimosa pudica, the sensitive mimosa. Bread mafen, that mouth tingling is nice too. Did you notice how quickly that Mimosa pudica reacted compared to the other one? That one right there, you have a lot of spots. It's closed. You see all the leaves there.
It's crazy. Ah, it's crazy.
She's hiding, I didn't know.
Not like that.
She's hiding. Picture a grazing animal seeing vegetation. She spreads her leaves wide to photosynthesize. The animal comes, it grazes, sees a lot of leaves, thinks it's good, and starts nibbling. And then the plant disappears and all you see are stems covered in thorns. The animal grazes, looks away, and 10 minutes later the leaves reopen and photosynthesis resumes. Amazing.
Remy, this shows your passion and how fascinating this is. It's the first time I've fully charged the battery and finished the video. To finish, wait, I'll zoom in. I can stand here before it cuts off.
I'm going to
Shake it. No, I will. Ah, the one that's dancing. Go ahead, shake it, because the one that's dancing, we'll keep it for next time. I'm shaking it.
quickly.
Thank you, Remy. See you
Later.